Hey there, everyone. My name is Anthony Avina, and welcome to another edition of my weekly reading. As some of you guys may know, if you've been following my daily vlogs, I am in the process right now of editing, reformatting, and uploading all of my Kindle books to CreateSpace so that they can be in print format. My goal with this is to, from now on, have every novel I publish be both in print and in Kindle format. And so right now I'm going through editing and reformatting them for the CreateSpace, app, or not app, but service, so that it all is formatted properly. So right now I'm in the process of doing that to my most popular book to date. I Was a Teenage Killer. And I thought it'd be kind of fun to read to you guys the very first part of this book. I may have done this in a very long time ago, before I had my scheduled weekly readings, but I thought, why not do it again? So here we go. I'll read to you some of the quotes that I pulled to start this book off, and then I'll read to you the very first part. Drowning deep in my sea of loathing, broken your servant I kneel. Will you give in to me? It seems what's left of my human side is slowly changing in me. Will you give in to me? That is from the song Down with the Sickness by Disturbed. I love that song. That's kind of what the inspiration for this whole series was. I have always had a sense that we are all pretty much alone in life, particularly in adolescence. That's from Robert Cormier. And then finally from Mark Twain. Anger is an acid that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything unto which it is poured. And now, here is part 1, the prelude, An Innocent Smile. Part 1. Christina Langley drove down the dark and deserted highway, wondering if she was ever going to make it out of this storm. The lightning was coming down every 2 minutes, and the rain was coming down as if God was pouring buckets of water out of heaven himself. She wanted to get home quick, before Bill decided to have a few drinks and then rough up with Kara. All I have to do is get through this one last night, and then I can get Kara out of this hellhole, and we can move up to New York with my mother. Christina, known as Chris to her family and friends, said to herself. The rain began to fall harder, and in an attempt to drown out the rain, she turned on the local alternative rock station. Suddenly, a song she instantly recognized came blasting out of the stereo. Drowning deep in my sea of loathing, broken your servant I kneel, yelled the lead singer of Disturbed. Chris began to bop her head up and down, and step with the music. When suddenly she saw a figure up ahead in the distance. A hitchhiker? Wondered Chris. At first, she did not slow down, but then she thought about this horrendous weather and finally decided to pull over as her conscience began to pull on her heartstrings. She stopped right next to the person outside. From where Christina was sitting, she could see it was a woman out there, and that she was wearing a hooded parka. At first, the woman did not attempt to come inside the car. Christina reached over across the seats and opened the door for the stranger. Hey there, she said to the woman in the parka. It's pouring out there. Do you need a ride into town? The woman nodded her head slowly and finally climbed into the truck's cab. Chris turned forward again and started to drive once the stranger closed the door. After about 5 minutes of silence, Chris decided to break the silence. And here's where editing comes into play, by the way, because as I see this, you automatically know, repetition. You don't want to say silence twice in the same paragraph. So, This is something experience teaches you as a writer. When I first wrote this years and years ago, I obviously didn't know about this. So instead of silence, we'll go with, let's see. Let's go with reticence. That's a good word. So we replace silence with reticence. So now the sentence says, after about 5 minutes of silence, Chris decided to break the reticence. So where are you heading at this time of night? She asked. The stranger made no reply. It's a hell of a storm out there, isn't it? Asked Chris. The stranger turned her head towards Chris and nodded her head. See, now we can trade head in for let's go skull. Nodded her skull. Well, I'm heading as far as Sunrise Ridge, so if you're further ahead or before, just let me, she began to say, when suddenly she saw out of the corner of her eye the knife the stranger had pulled out of her coat. Listen, all I have is $10. I did not bring any credit cards on my trip, and I do not have a cell phone, so there's no point in robbing me. You can have the $10 if you want. It's yours. Just please, don't hurt me. I'm begging you, she said. The woman in the park had turned towards Chris, and suddenly she could see the woman had dark, glowing red eyes. Suddenly, the woman smiled. Let's see, we can change suddenly to abruptly. Abruptly, the woman smiled. The rest of her face was hidden in shadows, but Chris could clearly see the horrible smile and those piercing eyes. Alright, and here we go, abruptly again, so we'll change it to precipitously. The woman brought the knife down upon Christina, driving deep into her neck. Blood spouted out onto the dashboard of the truck, and Chris lost control of the wheel. All she could feel was a hot, flowing pain on her neck, and all she could see was the cabin of the truck, spinning out of control. Suddenly, the truck struck a tree dead on, going on 45 miles per hour, the police would later say. Christina lay with her head on the dashboard, gasping for air, when suddenly the knife pierced her one final time in the back, severing her spinal cord. She died right there in the car. The woman wiped the blood on the knife off on Christina's shirt and said, I hate when they beg. And there you guys go. That's the first part of this book. It's definitely one of my most evil, disturbed characters I've ever written is for this book. And if you guys want to read the rest, if you haven't yet, make sure you pick up a copy. It'll be up on CreateSpace soon. And if you have read it, tell me what you thought of the book. Leave your thoughts down below. It's also available on Kindle. Once the CreateSpace and print version go up on Amazon, you'll be able to get the Kindle edition free. So make sure you guys tune in for that soon. Thank you for watching this week's My Weekly Reading. In the comments below, tell me what you thought of the reading. What are your thoughts, your concerns, any of that stuff. Leave those thoughts down below. As always, just be respectful. And please like this video. Make sure you give it a big thumbs up and you check out all the social networking links down below. Please like this video, comment on it, favorite it, and share it. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And I'll see you guys next week for another edition of My Weekly Reading. It's Anthony Avina, signing out. Long days and pleasant nights, my friends.